It was a dark and stormy morning, and I needed to get back to work on this friggin' book. Okay, so it's Wednesday, I'm in Lisa's live stream, and I have dedicated today to be solely about my book and vlogging. I did a lot of really good work on this book at the retreat, and I will tell you guys a little bit more about that later because I had I made some progress with the scenes. I definitely added a lot of scenes, and I added to my bulletin board. I brought my note cards with me, and I kept my same system going of writing the scene out in the notebook and then summarizing it on a note card. And I felt really good about that, but I think the bigger part of the progress I made was figuring out a lot of backstory. And again, this one specific thing that I will tell you guys about later because we're just doing a 5-minute warm-up sprint and I'm like checking the clock. I know how I tend to ramble and I don't want to go over my time. So yeah, today I need to get back in it because I have been back from retreat for over a week now, like a week and a half, and I haven't worked on my book. I'll just be totally honest. I haven't worked on it. A big part of that is because, as typically happens when you get back from vacation, you know, I felt very refreshed and ready to tackle my work. And I made up a schedule for myself. And while I'm appreciative of past Michelle because she did not schedule any new ghostwriting clients to start until November 1st, I did have, you know, some existing client work to take care of as soon as I got back. And I'm not behind on anything at all. It's more like I want to use this last couple weeks of October to get ahead a little bit so that in November and December, especially with all the holidays and everything that always goes on, my schedule is still very manageable because I feel like I've been doing a really good job with that over the last several months. Anyway, all that is to say that has come at the sacrifice of my own book. And I am now at the point where I am like itching to actually open a document and start writing the draft because I want to find the voice. Certain things that I figured out over the retreat have helped me, like before the voice and the tone and what I was going for was really nebulous in my mind, I could see it. There's a lot of potential for humor in this book. Like I think I've mentioned that Knives Out is a good comp for what I'm going to, and obviously Knives Out is really funny. But I didn't know exactly how dark the book would be, and the revelations I had at the retreat definitely helped me figure out specifically what type of suspense and darkness I'm going for. And so yeah, I just want to start playing with the voice, but I'm also determined to finish the rough draft in my notebook before I jump into the document. I really want to have the whole thing roughly synopsized in my notebook before I start doing that. I'm even considering, I have less than a minute left, I'm even considering just kind of like trying to power through it over the next week and then just launching myself into NaNoWriMo last minute. I don't know. Maybe that's what's gonna happen. We're just gonna have to see. Okay, I've got half a minute left. I will see you guys after the stream. So I ended up getting 3 scenes total today so far. I might try to do one more this evening, probably after my little Haunting of Hill House Netflix party. But, you know, I'm good with 3 for today. First of all, I got to write from the point of view of a character whose point of view I had not explored yet, and a big part of that is that it's not so much that I think I need to wait until this long in the draft to even be in her point of view, it's that I dislike her so much that I don't know how to be in her head with nuance. Like, I know there's got to be more to her than the terrible parts, but it's hard. And I think I found it. I found a way to present her side of things where, I mean, she's still doing some pretty objectively terrible stuff, but I can see a tiny, tiny little bit where she's coming from. This is not the villain, by the way. This is just a person that if I knew them in real life, I would dislike them strongly. And then I got another scene from my main character's point of view. Things are not going well for her, so that's fun. And another scene with one of my more regular side character POVs, and that one was fun because when I started it, I wasn't sure why exactly I wanted this particular scene to be in her point of view, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen. But as I wrote through it, by the time I got to the end, I found her emotional, not closure, but like her emotional change, the purpose of that scene for her, and she ended the scene by setting a new intention or goal as far as like where she's going next while all this other stuff is happening. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that went. Now, just to tell you guys a little bit about the thing I was talking about earlier. So this book, I hadn't picked a super hyper specific location, but I knew that this house where all the characters are was going to be in Nevada, somewhere in the really beautiful parts of the desert, with somewhat of a decent proximity to Las Vegas. And that was all I knew. And in my research on the retreat, I learned about Sand Mountain, which is, I have it pulled up here, a singing sand dune 20 miles east of Fallon, Nevada along US Route 50. The dune is 2 miles long and 600 feet high. And I read that and I was like, wait, okay, what is singing sand? So I went to that explanation, and I had never heard of this before. If you've heard of this phenomenon, please let me know below, because it led to me watching some really cool videos, which I'm going to share with you in a second. But basically, it says certain conditions have to come together to create singing sand. The sand grains have to be round and between 0.1 and 0.5 millimeters in diameter. The sand has to contain silica. The sand needs to be at a certain humidity. The most common frequency emitted seems to be close to 450 hertz. Okay, so I was like, wait, so it actually sings, it actually makes sound. So of course I went on YouTube, because what else are you gonna do? And I looked some stuff up, and if you have headphones, I highly recommend you put them in now.
Alors on a découvert le chant des dunes la première fois quand Pascal Hersen a descendu une dune à pied.
I mean, how cool is that? Do I want to use this somehow in my murder mystery book? Yes. Yes, I do. But the really cool thing about this is that this isn't just a really fun, unique part of the setting that I accidentally kind of chose for my book. I mentioned that my main character has this experience with this organization in her past as part of her backstory, her very recent backstory, that I think I said in my last vlog, I was like, I wanted to create my own type of this thing that would be instantly recognizable, and I was trying to come up with the specific, oh gosh, it's hard to maybe, I don't want to give too much away, sorry, this is hard to talk about. There was something missing about this particular organization that's really hard for me to describe, and I'm not going to get into it, but basically once I learned about the Singing Sands, that was the key that unlocked the box, and all of the stuff started coming out. Like, everything that felt vague about my main character's backstory just went all right into place. It ties in perfectly, so it's not just about the setting, it ties in with her and her past and her arc, and really even the themes that I'm going for here. It was just one of those moments. So yeah, that was really exciting. That was a great revelation on that retreat. So right now I'm feeling good about this. I'm still kind of toying with the idea of trying to jump into Nano. I have not been successful at Nano. I tried Camp Nano and then Nano last year and Camp Nano the year before that, and I never meet my goal. Something always happens. I get sidetracked with my ghostwriting and all that stuff, or I just peter out on the project, like what happened this last summer. I don't know. I'm kind of tempted because I'm really, really close. I feel like if I push myself over the next couple of days, I could feasibly finish the rough draft in this notebook and actually sit down on November 1st and start writing a draft. Then again, it's October 27th and November 1st is quickly approaching, so I don't know. I just feel like right now this writing by hand thing has been really great, but I think I'm reaching the end of my I don't want to, impatience isn't quite the right word, but I'm reaching the end of it being useful for me, and now I just really want to start digging in and getting into a document and finding the voice and getting what looks more like a real first draft on the page. But I am determined to finish the rough draft in the notebook first. So I don't know, yeah, let's see what happens over the next couple days. Looks like pumpkin seeds. Happy Halloween. So here's what I decided to do. I really went back and forth the last few days, wrestling with whether I wanted to jump into Nano just because it was almost like a shiny object to chase, and I don't know, I couldn't tell if it was actually genuinely the right decision or not. And I know I said a few days ago that I was determined to finish the rough draft of this book in the notebook before I moved to anything typing, but well, I changed my mind. And the reason is because that stuff I talked about a few days ago, like the revelations I had, the thing about the singing sand and all that it unlocked, along with a few other smaller revelations and realizations I have had throughout writing this book in the notebook, they've not changed much of the beginning, but there's so much to expand on now in all of the scenes that I wrote before. And I find myself, with every scene I write, increasingly, I want more and more to go back through the notebook and reread old things or to look at my note cards. I just feel like it's getting harder and harder to move forward without looking back and refreshing my memory. And I did a little rough estimate on how many words I've written in my notebook. I just did an average of how many words I write on a page and multiplied it by how many pages, and I have written close to 20,000 words in that notebook, which is great. And I feel like that's pretty in line with where I feel like I am in the draft, which is closing in on the end of Act 2, so probably somewhere around the 2/3 mark. And this, to me, what's in my notebook feels like more than an outline, but definitely way less than a first draft. So like a summary, zero draft, whatever you want to call it. And I think 20,000 words, meaning like it'll probably end up by the time I get to the end totaling around 30,000 words. That probably works. That's definitely longer than an outline that I would ever make for like a 90,000 word book, but it's a pretty decent scene by scene summary. And yeah, anyway, sorry, a lot of word count talk, but I want to keep going. I want to keep writing in my notebook. I love the activity of writing in my notebook, and I do think getting my eyes off the screen and writing by hand has been really valuable, and I'm still going to see that through. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start using Scrivener again. I have not used Scrivener since, I think, the end of 2019 is the last project I actually wrote in Scrivener. However, it is the writing software I have used more than any other by far throughout my writing career. I did switch to Save the Cat last year just because I was curious about it and I wanted to check it out, and I still really like it, and I recommend it. It is better for certain genres and certain books, I think, than others, and because this book that I'm writing has so many POVs, and Save the Cat just does not work all that well for multi-POV. In the software, the way it's set up, I just don't think that it would be very helpful. But in Scrivener, especially where you can I can color code the note cards to correspond with how they already are on my bulletin board, I think Scrivener is just going to be the better choice. Plus, I can tell I'm going to have to be getting my teeth into a lot of research, and Scrivener has, the features where you can drag, web files and all the research you do, pictures and images and stuff like that. So anyway, Scrivener is the way to go. I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm sorry. I have been out running around doing errands for the last 3 hours, and I don't know, I'm on a weird adrenaline high for some reason. All right, so here we go. As you can see, I did not come anywhere near making my goal for Camp Nano, but that's okay. It's not going to stop me from trying again. Create your novel. I know I've been calling this book The Shadow Book just as like a placeholder title, but I think I'm going to change my placeholder title to Sandstorm. It's a little more relevant. Well, I guess I can't change the goal, but that's fine because my goal is going to be 50,000 words. I am hoping that that 50,000 words will be a complete rough, very, very, very rough draft. Not a first draft, a rough draft. So here's the summary I came up with. 10 strangers gather at a mansion in the Nevada desert to search for the last manuscript written by a famous novelist who died 7 years ago and whose corpse had never been found. It's not perfect by any means. There's other details I'm not sure if I want to include or not that make it a little more standout than this, I think. But this is the best I can do for right now, so yeah, why not? We'll save it. All right. And there we go. So what I'm gonna do tonight, and I will put the footage of it, the finished product in this video, is I'm just gonna go in and basically copy my bulletin board over into Scrivener and write down everything I have on those note cards on the Scrivener note cards so I have it all laid out the same. And then my goal starting tomorrow, November 1st, we're gonna do this, is to start inputting what I have in my notebook into Scrivener and doing all of the expansion that I need to based on the things that I have learned about this book over the last couple of weeks. I really feel like because I have 20,000 words handwritten already, growing that into 50,000 total for Nano is a pretty feasible goal. Like, I have a 20,000 word head start. That's what it feels like. And I know that every time I sit down to write, I can tell myself, well, all you're doing right now is inputting, like just literally looking at your notebook and typing it in. And that's gonna make it easier to like get the ball rolling and get some momentum on getting, you know, a good word count in every day. So that's the plan. That's what I'm gonna do tonight. And I will check in with you guys on day 1 of NaNoWriMo to see how it goes. Happy November 1st. Okay, let me show you guys what I did in Scrivener last night. Okay, so here's what I did. I entered all of my cards from the bulletin board straight into the binder over here on the side. I color coded them the exact same way. Enid, who is the main character, all of her cards are green. The villain, who I'm writing in second person, is yellow, and all of the purple cards, I used purple instead of orange, are all of the different side characters. And what I really like about Scrivener is you can change the layout of this. So in this mode, it shows the timeline like in a linear fashion, but it'll show you, you know, those 3 POVs that I chose, so I can kind of see how they lay out, you know, on the timeline like this. And you can move them around and it'll change the color and change the label automatically. You know, Scrivener is fun. It's been a while since I've played with this, so yeah, I like it. So that's it. That's what I've got. So my job today is just to start inputting from the beginning of the notebook, putting everything in scene by scene and expanding on it every time I see an opportunity. I kind of feel like it's gonna go pretty quickly, save for the very first scene, which serves as a sort of prologue where I describe the way the victim died before the start of the book, because a lot of that in my mind, to be honest, is still really nebulous. Like, ultimately, I know why the villain did what they did. I'm still working out the mechanics of it, and I'm still trying to settle on exactly just the details, you know? So I don't know how much of that I'm gonna come up with today. I'm still enjoying the kind of discovery writing process of this, and I wanna keep that and not lock myself into a very, very specific ending quite yet, but I do think I need to settle on a few key things at least about the way she died, so that the reveal when they discover what they're going to discover in the climax actually makes sense. So let's get to it. 5,000 words for day one. I feel pretty good about that. Again, that's like including a lot of words that I had already written by hand and I was just typing them in. But I did the first, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scenes. So a little over 800 words per scene, which is probably quite an expansion from what I had. I'll be honest, the longest scene by far is the prologue, but it's not. It was me thinking through, okay, here's what I think really happened, and here's the kind of illusion of what happened that I'm trying to create, and kind of like the villain's side of things, if that makes sense. So I had to work through that, but then I ended up with a really short summary of how I want the prologue to go and what point of view I want it to be from, and I'm really happy with how that turned out. And everything else I did manage to flesh out a little bit what I had in each scene. I also got several ideas for scenes that are going to come next in my notebook, which is great, so I might actually spend a little bit more time in here tonight. But yeah, this was a great day one. I'm feeling good about NaNoWriMo, but you know, we'll see how it goes over the next few weeks. So that's gonna be it for me for this vlog. Let me know how writing is going for you. If you're doing Nano, good luck. Keep me posted on your progress, and I will see you guys on Friday with another video. Bye.